Hi, everyone. Thank you for spending the time to learn with us today. This webinar is brought to you by Payoneer. So I guess a couple of you have heard my voice. I think this is one of the first or few times I'm showing my face. I'm Alex from Payoneer. We have today with you a speaker that I'll introduce in a while, who's gonna talk to us more about what it is to have small businesses and digital marketing later on. All right. But in the meantime, let me tell you more about Payoneer. We're a financial platform that provides seamless integration for payment requirements so that business owners anywhere in the world can feel empowered. Even today, as most of us in the office, our offices around the world are actually at home. We're still working. Our service is still up, so don't worry. We're empowering you even through this. So our mission really is for businesses to help business go beyond borders, limits, and expectations. In today's digital world, our platform streamlines global commerce for millions of small businesses, whether you be a digital agency or an Amazon seller, an eBay seller, or a Shopify seller, or whether you work freelance or you provide VA services or manage a team of VAs. We help you guys do that. And we work with enterprises like Airbnb as well from 200 countries and territories all over the world. We leverage our robust technology, compliance, and banking infrastructure to make sure that we're online no matter what, whether there be a big event such as the quarantines or the virus that we're dealing with now or otherwise. We also deliver you a suite of services that includes, of course, our main service is the cross-border payment service. We've now started offering working capital in some regions, tax solutions that we offer. So for anybody who's earned revenue from clients in a different country, dealing with their tax regimes can be a bit difficult, or paying your taxes in another country can be difficult. So we work with partners to make that easier for you. Merchant services, of course, we also work with partners to make sure that you're not only getting your money from the sales, but helping you out with the logistics or whatever concerns that you might need, and risk management. All right. So we power the growth of entrepreneurs in emerging markets through to the world's leading digital brands, as I've said. And aside from payments, we also provide tons of content to our customers, from blogs, ebooks, to webinars like this one. We do events. Like last year, we did a lot of Payoneer forums around the region and all over the world. I'm not sure if you caught us in the Manila forum. Hope to see you in the next one, hopefully this year when everything blows over. So if you want to be kept in the loop, follow us on Facebook. You may see the link on the chat. You may also visit our blog site and resource center. Now let's get down to business. I want to remind everyone that after the speaker's presentation, we have a Q&A session. So be sure to send in your questions during the presentation, and then we'll address them afterwards. All right, so let me tell you more about our speaker today. So our speaker today is Chloe Franken-Ututalum. She started SoFi in 2008 and has spearheaded business development for the company. Prior to working in the call center industry, she started her career as a writer and dabbled in PR and marketing for various international clients, such as Martin Print Australia, Bear International, and Marketing Bump. She graduated with a degree in mass communications from Silliman University and earned her MBA at the Ateneo Graduate School of Business. She is certified in marketing communications from the Asian Institute of Journalism and Communications, also completing a course in international teamwork communication from, as I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing, l'Université Catholique de Lille in France. All right, so I believe Chloe is online right now. Sorry about that. Take it away, Chloe.
Thank you, Alex. You're not the first. A lot of people think my name is Sophie.
Sorry about that.
Okay, let me share my screen. All right. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Let me know.
Yes, I can see it.
Right.
Okay, it's full screen now.
Okay, all right. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me. It's a short, it's just a short little tutorial on lead generation strategies. So I'm not going to go over my background since Alex already introduced me, but I will just give you a quick background on my company, Sophie. So Sophie is a business process outsourcing company. We work with startups in Europe and mostly in the US, and we handle customer support, back office support, and lead generation support. So we've had a lot of experience in terms of lead generation. We've been in the business for 10 years, almost 12 now. And we work with a lot of companies, and most of the companies that we work with are startups, and they're basically also just finding clients themselves. So hopefully this afternoon, I can give you guys some tips. It's not as in-depth as it should be because we only have 30 minutes. But hopefully the overview will give you a little bit of background, and then you can do the rest of your research online. So lead generation. So let's say your customer is Bob. Hi, Bob. And Bob is interested in surfing. So Bob can be interested in a lot of things. That could be learning how to surf, what to wear when you're surfing, or where to surf. So there's a lot of information, and surfing in general, the topic is so broad. So Bob goes, of course, to Google. On Google, he just enters the word surfing, and that will yield a lot of search results for surfing because it's very, very broad. And now, with the emergence of social media, it's not just about Google anymore. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have all the other social media channels that could give you information. So obviously, Bob is a little bit overwhelmed with all the information. So why should you care about helping Bob? Because right now, you can see the difference that in the old age, you have the regular convenient store in a brick and mortar structure, right? So if you have a business, normally we would find a nice location and we would build our shop there. Nowadays, it's already online. Everything has shifted online. Whether you have a physical shop, you also have an online counterpart. And in the olden days, I don't know about you guys. For those who were not who were born after maybe the 2000s, I don't know if you know about the yellow pages, but for those born in the 80s and in the 90s, we used to have yellow pages. So if we needed to find a company, we would go to the yellow pages and we would search for the company and the phone number. But now, of course, everything's on Google. If you need something, if you're looking for a shop, you go to Google and find information. So you have your shop, physical shop, and you also have your website, but it's just as good as the number of people who actually go to your website. And other people might have a website, but they would have zero to very few visitors on their website. And that is still something that most people struggle with. So it's very, very important to understand how you can leverage your website, among other things, so that you can generate leads. So how is your traffic in your website? What are your initiatives in terms of attracting people to your website? Do you write blogs? Do you have videos? So it's really a matter of how you can attract people to your site. Now, lead generation is basically composed of two ways. You have outbound lead generation and inbound lead generation. I have these two pictures here because it's the simplest way to kind of explain what outbound and inbound is. So outbound lead generation, you're actually out there hunting, like fishing. You're hunting for your fish. You're hunting for your clients. Whereas inbound lead generation is basically like setting a trap so that people stumble upon your business. So through your content, that's how you attract people, and then you trap them, and then hopefully convert them into customers. So this is sort of a very layman's way of explaining what outbound lead generation is and inbound lead generation. So let's talk a bit about inbound lead generation first. So when you do inbound lead generation, basically you have to look at your client profile. If you're a business and you want to target a specific client, you need to know, number one, their demographics, their geographical location, maybe their likes, their wants, what type of social media platform they usually go to. As for Sophie, we're a services company. So this is sort of our sample client profile. So it's 70% male, 20% female. That's based on the demographics of startups. We work with startups, so based on statistics, most of our clients are male and 20% are female. On average, they're between 29 and 49. And they're mostly tech startups. They're companies that offer B2B to B2C services. They sell services and products online. They're mostly in North America and Europe. And the people that we're trying to attract are the C-level executives, the co-founders, the business dev people of these companies. And most of them thrive on LinkedIn, Twitter, or sometimes Instagram. So if you were to start somewhere, first, I'd want you to imagine and picture your client. Who is your client? And try to enumerate the characteristics of your client, from the age, from their geographical location, to what social media platforms they use, because that would be very, very helpful when you create your content for inbound marketing. So as much as possible, try to picture who you want to pursue. Sometimes some people would say, you know what, I want to attract everybody. But sometimes when you start a marketing campaign that's not targeted, sometimes it's very, very it's such a failure because you're not targeting a specific audience with a message. For example, I would give an example like Jollibee. Jollibee, for the past few months, have started a campaign where they focus on emotion. I think on YouTube, they have a campaign about two lovers who were dating a long time ago, and then they broke up, and then they met again, and then they reconnected at Jollibee. So Jollibee is trying to tap into the emotional side of their audience. So this could attract young people, families, because Jollibee has a very family-oriented image. So they really try and craft the message of their marketing to their specific crowd. It's the same thing as Adidas or Nike. When they promote their content, it's usually targeted towards people who are into fitness. It would be off for Nike to have a commercial and then focus on music rather than sports, because then the brand is for sports. So as much as possible, most successful campaigns really know their message and really know their target audience. So when we start with inbound lead generation, the marketing team really plays a huge role in inbound lead generation. So the marketing team are what you call the trappers. The trappers, because they churn out content that would attract people to your site or to your social media platform. That's why they're called the trappers. So this could be a lot of different types of content marketing. It could be through video, through blogs, webinars like this one, and infographics. It could be a lot of things. So the marketing team really plays a huge part in inbound lead generation. Now for small businesses, you might not have the resources or the financial capacity to have a full marketing team. And that's all right. When Sophie started 12 years ago, I was the marketing team. So I basically shot the videos, I made the social media posts, I wrote. So it was basically a one-person marketing team. And if you have a small business, you can do that. If for some reason you're not so comfortable writing, then you can probably get a freelancer to write for you. Of course, it's very, very important. If writing is not your skill, you don't also want to produce content with, I don't know, grammatical errors, or maybe the flow doesn't make any sense, or the content is not really good for public consumption. So you also want to protect your brand. I've been lucky enough that prior to starting Sophie, I was a writer, and I worked in marketing and PR prior to working in a BPO. So I've done the work myself for other companies. So when it was time for me to promote my own company, it was very, very easy for me to just write a blog or shoot video or whatever, because I've done that myself prior to Sophie. So I'm lucky that way. But for other people who might not have that skill, it would be best to tap into your resources, to your network, and see who can write for you and who can create content for you. So this could also apply to people who are freelancers. If you're a freelancer, um, obviously it would depend on what type of freelancer you are. So if you're a writer, you can have a blog where you can showcase your writing skills. If you're a graphic designer, you can also have a website that would show your graphic design skills. So the lead generation tips that I'm somehow giving to you guys today is really, they're really adaptable to a freelancer, a small business, or maybe a business that's growing. So marketing could be applied to smaller companies or to individuals. So if you're looking at the marketing funnel, when you have videos, your blogs, or your ads, they go through the tunnel where you are attracting traffic. So when you're attracting traffic, these types of content show either leadership or expertise in the industry. Your blog might be something to help people. Ads might be able to, ads are a little bit more out there because you're really promoting yourself, versus videos and blogs, they're a little bit more helpful and they're not so obvious in terms of self-promotion. So all of these, once you attract traffic to your website, you can add an offer. The offer could be, learn these tips by signing up. And when they sign up, they could either get, for example, a case study about the success of working with your business. For example, if you are a services company, you can also create a financial calculator. So for example, I've seen this with insurance companies. When they try to attract people, they'll say, sign up for this, sign up with your email, and then you get a calculator. And then the calculator basically will calculate how much you will earn if you invest in insurance and how much if you invest in a bank. So something like that. So if you're a services company, you can probably create a calculator that will say, this is how much you will save with my service, and this is how much you will save with the other brand. You can also do that. Another offer that you can give to your people, to your followers, would be a webinar. This is an example of marketing, because Payoneer, with people signing up and joining this webinar, Payoneer would then have a lead list. They would have a lead list of people that they can contact and try to sign up for Payoneer. So they're offering a webinar. So it's not in your face advertising where, oh, sign up with Payoneer and you don't get anything else. What Payoneer is trying to do is give you information by giving you this webinar to learn about lead generation, and in return, you're registering with your email. So that's also one way of generating leads. And you could also provide an audit. So for social media companies, if you're in a digital marketing agency and you want to attract your followers, from your blog or video or ads, you can also say that they can sign up so that they can get a social media audit for free. So these are just ways on how you can convert your inbound leads so that they can then show their interest, and hopefully with them giving their email, you can then start your email marketing campaign. So if you guys are familiar with other websites where you sign up for something because you wanted to get, let's say, a free PDF on something to learn about something, usually normally after downloading the PDF, you will then receive follow-up emails in your inbox about special offers or even more content. So that could be the email marketing side. Eventually, the the role really of the role of the marketing funnel is to eventually get them on the phone and get their commitment and then close the sale. So with Sophie, we have a bunch of initiatives. We have a channel on YouTube. We also have a blog on our website. And we do some ads with Google and Facebook from time to time. And then when people do go on our website, we also have an offer, and our offer is a free trial. So when we do get their buy-in to sign up for the free trial, then we call them and try and close the sale. So it's a little bit shortened for Sophie's side, but in other companies it might vary. But this is sort of the marketing funnel that you can look into so that you can have a graphic visualization of how leads turn into a sale or turn into a client. So when you do inbound marketing, it's really true. Content is king. And you want to produce content that people want to consume. Sometimes some people will say, oh, I'll just create a blog and then I'll put a bunch of keywords there. And then hopefully with the keywords, people will find me through SEO. No, that's actually not the case anymore. Before, people would just stuff their articles with keywords so that Google would rank them first on the SERPs or search results pages. But now content is really something that matters, because sometimes you can draw people in with a catchy headline or because of your keywords. But then when they read your content, they might just only visit your site once and then they would leave because the site is not really giving them value. So you need to focus on content. Next is link sharing. Before, in the olden days, like 10 years ago, it was very easy to link share. Sometimes the tactics before would include someone just answering a comment in a forum, and then their email would link back to their website, or the username has a link and it links back to the website. Sometimes before that was okay, but now Google is a bit strict when it comes to link building. So for link sharing, you want to be able to generate organic link sharing. So this could be getting mentions from a reputable news site. So if a news site could write about your company and then put a link to your website that adds to your SEO. And there's also a tactic where you go on Quora.com. If someone has a question, you really try and answer that question, and then you can link back to your site. Obviously, you don't want to just answer a question with your link, but you also want to add value to your answer, and then you can add a link to your website. So link sharing is still very powerful. Next is you update your content. You also don't want to start a blog, or you don't want to start a channel, and for the first maybe month or so you're always active online, and then afterwards you kind of get lazy or you forget about it, and then you're not consistent. So consistency is the key when it comes to content. So really try to update your content maybe even once a week to make sure that your followers know that you're there and they keep coming back for more content. Otherwise, they might think that, oh, this channel or this blog is no longer active and I will not visit it anymore. And you don't want that. So you want to continually engage and update your content so that your visitors keep coming back. And of course, it goes back to number one, where you have to churn out good content. Next is know your keywords. Um, like in the earlier slides, it just says surfing, right? If you put surfing, surfing is so general that there could be a lot of search results coming out of the keyword surfing. So you want to make sure that your keywords actually reflect and target your market. You have to think of it as, if I were my customer, what would I search online? So if you were Bob and you want to look for places to surf, you wouldn't just write the word surfing on Google. You then have to write top places to go surfing in the Philippines, or where to surf in, let's say I'm in Dumaguete, where to surf in Negros Oriental. So your keywords should be not so specific, but at least something that normally people would use when they would like to find information about the industry or the business that you're in. So make sure that you know your keywords. And there are a lot of sites that are free online that you can put your website, and then it will churn out the keywords that are relating to you. And you can also put your industry and what are the keywords um, that are being searched or are popular for your industry. So there are a lot of online resources that are free that you can use to generate the keywords that are um, related to your business or to your service. So when it comes to content, sometimes people don't know where to start. They think that a blog is enough. Actually, if you start one article, that article can be produced and repurposed into several different forms. So if, let's say you created a blog article, that blog article, you can spin that to create another article. So when you have a blog article, you need to kind of rephrase certain words and rearrange certain words so that you can create a brand new article coming from the same topic. So for example, your original article is top 9 ways to lose weight in the summer. That's, for example, your original article. You can spin that into quickest way to shed pounds in the summer. So sometimes it just needs a couple of rearranging and rephrasing of words, and then you can eventually write a whole new article based off the original article. So one is article spinning. So from one article, one topic, you can create another article. From that topic, you can also create a podcast if that's something that's related to your business. And if you think that your followers or your target market would listen to a podcast, so you can create a podcast out of that. Or you can, from that topic, you can create a webinar. Like, again, right now we have a webinar about lead generation. So if I had an article about lead generation, I can create a webinar just like this to repurpose that article. So it could be a webinar. It could also be an email marketing campaign. So most of the time, some people would create one article, and the article has a list. So a lot of people like listicles, as what they say. It's very important because lists are short, they're to the point. And sometimes from a list alone, let's say you have 9 items in your list, each item can be a whole different article in itself. So for example, if your article is lead generation tips, and one of the items there, it would show email marketing, and then another item is social media marketing. So email marketing in itself is a whole different topic. Social media marketing itself is a whole different topic. So even for one article, if you have a list of items and topics, each of those items can be separate articles in themselves. And if you want to start an email marketing campaign, you can create an email marketing campaign and put a series where one email could be one topic, and then the next email could be the next, and so on and so forth. So you can create a whole email marketing campaign where you slowly release or send out an email about one particular topic from that list every week. So you're covered for the whole month. Also, on when you have an article, you can also create an infographic from that article. One thing about infographics, and I also see that when I review content for Sophie, um, refrain from copying the entire article and then just posting it on an infographic, because that's not an infographic. An infographic is visual. So you want to create more visual images on your infographic versus adding a lot of text. So refrain from the temptation of just copying and pasting your written work from your blog onto your infographic. You want to summarize it a bit and use more visuals and images to make your infographic a little bit more beautiful and a little bit more digestible. Another way of repurposing your content could be through an ebook. I mean, not a lot of people can write an ebook, and it takes a lot of time. But if you've created enough articles in your website, you can probably create an ebook out of it if you have enough content. Aside from that, you can also create a slideshow that you can post on LinkedIn or share on Facebook. So from the same article, you can make a PowerPoint presentation and make it into a tutorial. And lastly, the most popular way of churning out content would be video. So from your own article alone, you can create a short 5-minute video maybe about your article. If it's a how-to article or if it's an article about advice, you can then just film yourself or film someone who's comfortable in front of the camera. Film someone to talk about the topic that you just created in your blog article. So if you count the examples, that's like 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. You have, and this is just a few of the items that you can do to repurpose one single article. There are a lot of other ways to repurpose a topic or an article, but you can just imagine by creating one article how many types of content you can repurpose for that one article. So I'm not saying that after you release one article you will post all of these at once. No, you don't do that. You wanna release it one at a time, but you also don't want to release it right after the other. So for example, if you posted a content about, let's say, lead generation this week, you don't want to post a video about lead generation about the same thing the next week, because then they'll know that it's about the same topic. So you want to make sure that you kind of put a little bit of time in between before you release the other type of content related to your original content, so that it's not so obvious that you just basically repurposed it. So I would recommend having 10 original topics, and then in between that repurpose the topics so that they're a little bit far in between and it's not so obvious that you're repurposing it. You can also change the headline maybe or the title so that it's not so obvious that you're just repurposing the same content that you posted a few weeks ago. So next, when you create content, regardless of whether it's an article or a video or an infographic, the headline really matters. So when you create a headline for your content, here are just a couple of tips. It's really helpful to put numbers and negative words. It increases the click-through rate. So for example, you can put in your headline, 3 reasons why you're not getting any leads. So you're not getting any leads, that's negative. And then you put a number 3 in your headline, that's very, very effective, and it has a higher click-through rate. So kind of have a play on words of like 11 reasons why you're not losing weight. A lot of people would really look at that and then would click on the article and read through it because, oh, you're wondering, why am I not losing weight? So that's also a trick. Next is using formulas that have proven efficiency. So these are the how-to articles or videos, like how to write a blog or how to start your social media campaign. So how to articles are very helpful and they're very, very popular as well. And like what I mentioned a while ago, in your how-to articles, you can create lists because lists are so simple and easy to follow and an easy read. You don't want to read through blocks and blocks of paragraphs and text because then you'll be bored. A lot of the times nowadays, people have a short attention span, so you don't want to bore people with paragraphs and paragraphs of something that they want to just know and learn in a couple of steps. Next is keep it under 69 characters. Think Twitter. You want your headline, your title, to be short enough so that when you Google it and then it appears in the search results page, the entire title is then displayed in Google search page. So if you have a really long article, you'll notice that Google shortens it, and then you'll have the ellipsis right after the three dots because it's too long. So you want to keep your titles short, and probably going forward here, maybe it's a 6-word headline would do. 6 words, that will be enough to cover a headline that would perfectly display itself on a Google search result page. Also, make your headline match the content. You don't want to be clickbaity. You know, a lot of people are annoyed with clickbait on YouTube, where you have a headline and then people are expecting that the headline matches the video content, but in the end it's not. So you don't want to be that, because then, you know, Google is very smart nowadays. They really put more emphasis on content. So make sure that your title actually matches whatever you're saying in your article or in your video or in your infographic. And then odd numbers perform better than even. So you can go for 11, 7, 13. These numbers just kind of perform well in terms of popularity and how people click through the titles. So experiment and probably write an article with an even number and write the sort of the same article with an odd number and see which article performs better. Like I said a while ago, try to keep it short, just about 6 words. And also avoid words with multiple meanings. Sometimes, you know, in different geographical areas, a word might not be the same, might not have the same meaning in another country. For example, British words might mean differently with American language. So let's say in British, a flat is an apartment in the US. So when you write a headline, make sure that you're using words that are universally understood. Although it is kind of common for people to know that flat is apartment, but that's just an example. But you know, you want to try and avoid words that have double meanings and might have different meanings in different countries. So you want your article to be universal. Next is include power words and adjectives. So if you see some headlines, they would use the word simple, they would use the words transform. So these words really attract, because people are then, when they look at your when they look at your article, they'll be like, oh, okay, how can I transform my social media account? So you want to write really powerful words. So a tip would be, you can simply Google online and say top adjectives to use in your headline. There are a lot of websites that give you a list of words and adjectives that you can use in your headline. And I've done that several times when I would write an article. So don't be shy, go on Google and search for words that are very catchy and popular when it comes to headlines. And it's free. And then, of course, use keywords for better SEO. Nowadays, SEO is really the driving force of online marketing. If you don't think about SEO when you put out your content online, then you're missing out, because then not a lot of people will find you. SEO is really something that targets your market. So if you're a company that sells sneakers, then you want to make sure to know about the keywords that are related to sneakers, so that when you make an article or you make a video on YouTube, people who are actually interested in sneakers will find your content. So how do you use keywords? You can use the keywords in your title. You can also use the keywords in your description. I've read somewhere that when you upload a video on YouTube, you have to make sure that you write some text in the description form because it really adds to your SEO. I think about 300 words would really help with your SEO ranking if you post a video and you put a description at the bottom. So really make sure that you use the power of SEO so that people will find your content. So on average, 8 out of 10 people will read your headline, but only 2 out of 10 will read the rest. So a headline can only get you as far as getting someone's attention, but if your content is not really good, then of course you'll only get the visitor once and they won't come back for more. So it's a two-way street. So you have to make sure that your headline is good enough so that people will actually click through it and read your article. But you also want to make sure that your article is useful and is good content so that people are actually happy that they read your article, and they will either come back for more or refer your site to other people because they found your information useful. Okay, so here are examples of good headlines. So here, digital marketing for beginners. So that's 7 strategies that work. You see there, it's an odd number. 11 ways to get authentic followers on Instagram. 5 simple steps to increase content distribution. So you see there's a formula there. If you go through the tips, you don't always have to tick all the boxes. Sometimes majority out of the list, if you can tick all the boxes, then that's good. But it's also okay if your title doesn't necessarily have 6 words. I mean, it's not strict, but at least if you get the majority of those tips in mind when you create your headlines, it would really, really be helpful. So, it's important as well that you know your digital mix, because not everyone is on every social media platform. And sometimes if you're maintaining so many social media platforms or so many platforms for your content, you might spread yourself too thin that you're not able to produce content as often because you're maintaining so many sites, or 2, your audience might not be using those sites, so it would be a waste of your effort. For example, with Sophie, we used to have a Twitter account, and I know that with B2B companies, a Twitter account is useful because most businessmen are on Twitter. But when we track our progress and we see our results, we see that we're not really doing so well on Twitter, and we're not getting the leads that we want on Twitter. So we made the decision to close our Twitter account and just focus on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So that kind of simplified our marketing strategy, because my team won't be so tired with making so much content for a platform that doesn't really give back in return, So you want to make sure that your content is something that really reaches your audience on the right platform. So for example, TikTok is really growing in popularity these days, but it doesn't mean that your company has to be on TikTok. If you're a serious law firm and you want to get leads, TikTok might not be the best place for you to engage with followers, because you might not have the followers that you need on TikTok. So kind of balance it out, because sometimes not all social media accounts are related to your industry. So if you're not a design company, maybe Pinterest might not be the best platform for you. Maybe if you're a design company, Pinterest might be a good platform for you, and also Instagram. If you're not, then maybe you don't need Pinterest. For example, for companies that are creative and visual, like design companies or digital marketing companies or photography companies, if you're a wedding photographer or a videographer, Instagram might be a very, very good platform, because then you can showcase your work. Instagram is very visual. Sometimes for a service company that's not creative, like for example, a BPO company, our Instagram is not targeted to our clients, but our Instagram is targeted towards employees and future employees of Sophie. So when we do our marketing, we have two targets. One, our clients, and the other, our potential employees. So we have several platforms that relate to a particular group. So really look, like I said in the earlier slide, picture your ideal client and visualize their age, their gender, where they are, where you can find them on the internet, so that you know what's your good digital marketing mix, and you know what platforms to use so that you can connect to them. So that's very, very important. Next, outbound lead generation. So with an outbound lead generation strategy, you have hopefully your sales team. Not a lot of people will have, again, the resources to have a sales team, a separate sales team for their business, because either they're starting out or they're a freelancer. So you're your own sales team. So let's just say you do. Let's just say you have a sales team and you want to increase your outbound lead generation efforts. So in a sales team, a traditional structure for a sales team would have at least 3 roles. One role would be the qualifier or the prospectors. Then the next would be the closers or the hunters, and then nurturers or the farmers. So the qualifiers are those people who gather data, who research their leads. They scour the internet and research on their potential customers. And then they get the information such as the email, maybe their LinkedIn profile or their phone number. And once they have that list, then it gets passed on to the closer or the hunter, where the hunter can hop on the call and try to pitch your company or your services to the potential client. And once you close the deal, the hunter closes the deal, it then gets passed on to the nurturer. They are also called the farmers because they will really make sure that the customers are happy. They're the customer service people of your company, and they also try to upsell. So ideally, if you have a big organization or a medium-sized organization, you might have a team that kind of looks like this. Because if you look at the lead generation workflow, your prospects can be generated through inbound leads or outbound leads. So inbound leads, these are your videos, your blogs, your ads, and your outbound leads can be your email marketing campaigns, or when you go out to events and trade shows and you see customers from these trade shows, you can also generate leads from there. So from your leads, it goes to the qualifiers. So under qualifiers, you can have sales development associates or representatives, or business development associates or representatives. So the sales development rep normally takes care of the inbound leads. So the sales development team will take care of the leads that go to your pipeline from your content, while the business development reps are the ones that go out there and search for leads organically. So this is coming from research and lead generation tactics of going to a website and going to forums and posting about your service or your company. And then once the leads are qualified, meaning you're going through the leads and then you're making sure that the leads are actually potential customers of your company. For example, if you're a wedding business, if you're a business for arranging weddings, a wedding planner, so to speak. So if you're a wedding planner and you want to look for leads, your qualifiers will then look for leads maybe coming from websites that have wedding topics and they've signed up for a campaign, and the leads are generated there. And it could be also your blog where you write about weddings and you get your emails there. You want to make sure that you qualify them. They're actually people who want to get married and who are interested in getting married, versus just getting a bunch of list of names of people who might not actually want to get married. So if you just carelessly research a bunch of names, random names, and qualify them as leads, you might end up with an 11-year-old, and you might have to call an 11-year-old and say, when would you like to get married and where? So it doesn't make sense, right? So there has to be a qualification process. And once the leads are qualified, then they go to the closer or the hunter. You call them the account executives. They can then start the process of pitching pitching the business or the service to your prospect. And once you pitch and then hopefully you close, the new customers go to your nurturers. And these are your customer success managers or your account managers. Again, this structure might not make sense to a small business or to a freelancer. But if you think of yourself, for example, if you're a freelancer and you think of yourself as these roles, then you will know how to organize your leads. And let's say this week I'm going to be the qualifier and the prospector. So I'm going to be researching leads. The next week I'm going to try and make phone calls and try to close sales. And then after that, I'm going to be the nurturer and I'm going to take care of my customers. So if you're a freelancer, you can think that way. You can be your own sales team. I was also the one-person sales team of Sophie back in the day. So I would be the one to research the leads. I would research the leads. I would go on LinkedIn, find people, and then I would send them the email, and then I'd make the phone call and pitch over the phone, and then I close the leads, and then I also become their customer service person. I would email them and they would email me for concerns and I would take care of that. Right now, I already have a sales team, but I'm still the closer. So my team only researches for leads and then I'm the one who pitches on the phone. So it really depends on whatever stage you're in or whatever size your company is. If you're just one person, you can do it yourself as well. But as your company grows, you really have to look into a structure so that you can really scale your outbound lead generation efforts. So according to Discover.org, 60% of over 1,000 senior executives from the IT industry reported taking an appointment or attending the event after receiving a cold call or unsolicited email. So outbound lead generation is not just about emails, but it could also be cold calling. As you know, in the BPO industry, we have a telemarketing accounts where agents call and reach out to prospects over the phone to sell something. So that's also outbound lead generation. That's also another side. So if you were to compare the two ways of lead generation, there are pros and there are cons. For emailing, the pros would include it's easy to scale up. It's easy to scale up because when you're sending emails, you can send a bunch of emails, 1,000 emails in one click. So if you're using a tool like MailChimp or Mailshake, you can have a list of emails that you want to reach out to, and then with just one click, an email will be sent out to everyone. So it's really scalable versus cold calling. Of course, a physical person has to dial the number and make the phone call. So you can't call 1,000 people in an hour. It's also time efficient again because it's easier to replicate your campaign in a matter of minutes. But with cold calling, it's also very quick in terms of reach and feedback. Once you call someone and you talk to them, you will immediately know why they're not interested. So another pro of emailing, it's visually appealing. So sometimes you can personalize your email and have imagery in the email, although you don't want to overdo it because then your email might be considered spam. And sometimes emails will directly categorize your email into the spam folder if you have a lot of images, or sometimes the domain of the person you're trying to reach won't allow images to get downloaded. So very careful with using that. Emailing is also cheaper because you can have one person email 1,000 people, and versus only one person can probably call a bunch of numbers per hour or per day. So you'd have to scale it, and it's very expensive to have like 10 people making phone calls for you. Emailing is also something that you can personalize. You can personalize an email based on your research, and you can write the message that you want there. Cold calling, not a lot of people do it these days because one, rejection is something also that people fear. A lot of people are not comfortable with picking up the phone and calling a stranger. So it can be personalized with an email, but also with cold calling, it's voice based. So there's a human element with cold calling. They can hear a voice at the end of the line, and they know that it's a person calling them versus probably an automatic robot sending emails. So the pro of also cold calling, not a lot of people do it these days because again, you need to have a good salesperson, and sometimes not all people are comfortable. So maybe if you have a cold calling campaign, you'll stand out from your competition who's only doing email. Also, there are cons to both strategies. The con of cold email is there's a long time for you to wait, and you need to follow up, and you'd need to have automatic tools to scale your cold emailing, and there are tools that I will mention later. And the tools cost money, so if you don't have the budget for it, you might not be able to scale it by doing it manually. When you have cold emailing, you also need to have good copywriting skills. It's such a turn off if you send an email and it has a lot of errors and it doesn't sound right. So you want to make sure that whoever's sending the email knows how to write content and can also really craft a good email that will catch someone's attention. And the con is there might be obstacles. Like again, you might be blacklisted or your email might go directly to spam. The con of cold calling, it's time consuming because again, only a person can only call so many numbers in a day. And also with cons, it's hard nowadays to get a good phone number. When you go online, not a lot of people will post their phone number, a phone number that actually goes to the decision maker. For example, if you try and find me online, you won't get my direct line. You get a number for the office, and it goes to the admin office. It doesn't go to me. So it's harder to find good numbers that go directly to the person you're speaking with, because if you have a generic number, then you'd have to have the obstacle of getting past the gatekeeper, and not a lot of people will hand over the phone to their boss unless you're someone that the boss is expecting. And then also cold calling is a bit annoying. Working in the call center industry, I've seen agents where they get hung up and people shout at them for calling them. So it's very intimidating because people find cold callers annoying. And also it's hard to scale because you'd have to have the budget, so that for you to make 1,000 phone calls, you'd have to hire a lot of people to make those 1,000 phone calls versus, of course, emails, where one person can send out 1,000 emails using a tool. So why do I prefer cold emailing? I do prefer cold emailing over cold calling because, my reasons are with, prospects are moving away from the phones. And most of the phone numbers are hard to find online. Also, my reason number two, your prospects spend more time reading emails. For our prospects specifically, we target them over email because they're just easier to find over email. We find emails faster than we find phone numbers. And third, sales is a numbers game. Again, you can only call so many people for one person versus sending a bunch of emails in one click. So for these three reasons, I personally prefer cold emailing. But again, it depends on your industry and it depends on what kind of service and the profile of your clients. Cold calling might work, but for me personally, emailing has worked. And I myself, if someone would try to sell me something, I would prefer an email over a random phone call in the middle of the day. So do your research. Again, know your customer and know how to target them effectively. So again, when you're doing outbound lead generation, there are so many tools that you can use. One tool is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can also use LinkedIn, the free version of LinkedIn. But if you want to scale your outbound lead generation efforts, Sales Navigator is a very good tool. Hunter is a good tool as well, because if you want to make sure that the emails that you've researched or you've generated are in fact valid emails, Hunter is a tool that actually checks whether that email is valid or not, so that you will avoid, bouncing emails. And Mailshake is a tool where you can customize your email. So for example, if you have a list of leads, and obviously if you want to send out 1,000 emails, you're not gonna manually put the names of the persons in your email one by one. Mailshake is able to have an algorithm where from your list, they can put the first name in your email and then send it out to a bunch of people all at once. And then DuckSoup is a tool that I've used recently and I've had a lot of success with. It's a tool that you can download and install in Chrome. When you have LinkedIn open or another website similar to LinkedIn, your search results would be the leads that DuckSoup will think as your qualified leads. So what DuckSoup does is the robot would automatically search for these profiles one by one. And then if you want, you can also opt to send an email directly. So if you just have your computer open, you have LinkedIn open, and you turn on DuckSoup. DuckSoup just automatically scans through the profiles without you even touching it. You can sleep while your computer does the work for you. So DuckSoup can then search these profiles and send emails on your behalf. So it's very, very, very convenient. Might be something you want to look into if you're a big company and you want to really scale your lead generation efforts. So for example, if you're a business and you want to search for your client, your prospect, you want to know where you can find them. So for example, let's say you're a BPO, and let's say I'm putting Sophie as an example. We would go through sites that would have news or list of startups, and then from there we create our lead pool. So if you go to a website, let's say entrepreneur.com, they would have normally a list of startups or businesses, or they would have news about startups. So if you find a potential client in the news, then that could be your potential lead. And then once you find your lead, you can go to Sales Navigator or your regular LinkedIn account, and then you can then search for people working in that company, and then you find the decision maker of that company. Once you have the decision maker, you can then send them an email, and then you can also find several other people who are related to the lead that you first searched. So you can go to the search feature and go to filter, and then you can go to the second degree connections, because obviously the first degree connections are people that you're already connected with. So what you can do to search more leads that are related to the other lead, you can then look at the second degree connections, specify the location that you want to target. So for Sophie, we normally target United States and the United Kingdom, and then the industry, so information technology or internet companies. The other sections here, I don't normally click, because then if you really narrow down your search, you might not be able to get a bunch of results. So you want to narrow it down, but not so much that you're limiting a lot of people from getting through your search results. So once you have a person that you're interested in emailing, you want to make sure that you create a good email. This is an example of a bad email. So I received this email on LinkedIn, and this person was trying to get an appointment with me. So he got the company right, but then if you look at the email, he mentions, that he wants to establish business opportunities and establish a partnership between Atelier Lumika. Obviously, I don't work for Atelier Lumika. I work for Sophie. So this person probably has a template and then was a bit careless and did not review his template and made the mistake, the faux pas of mentioning another company, the wrong company. You would obviously figure out that I really did not meet with this person because this is a bad impression. So you want to make sure that you want to personalize your email. And if you're using a template, you want to make sure that you review, because if you write out an email and it's the wrong name or it's the wrong company, then it's a very, very slim chance that you're going to get to the next email. So here's an example of a good email. So someone reached out to me, and she took the time to, research about Sophie a bit. So she talked about Sophie's culture, where we are. So I'm pretty sure that she sent this email to a lot of people. But one thing, I've done lead generation, so I know that you have a template, and then, you send it out to a bunch of people. But a good way of sending a cold email is to make sure that your first paragraph is a bit personalized. So how do you personalize something for someone you don't know? Obviously, again, you research your client, you research your prospect. So this person probably researched about Sophie, probably went to our social media accounts and looked through, and knows that we have a cool culture, and we have videos about Sophie. So what you can do is, once you find your potential lead or company, go to their Facebook page or go to their company page and see if there's any updates or news or developments about your prospect, and then refer to that in your email. Because if you do that, your email is very personalized, and not only is it personalized, it shows the person that you took the time, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, you took the time to really read up about their company, and they're not just another lead for you. They're not just another name in your list of people that you're spamming throughout the day. So if this girl took the time, and obviously I replied, and we were able to get on the phone call and talk. So this was a successful email for this person. So once you have your leads, your email, you want to make sure that you organize them. At Sophie, we use a CRM called Tropa. You can go to go-tropa.com. So if you have a CRM, you're able to organize your leads from the people that you've contacted, from the people who did not answer your call or your email, and then you're able to organize them. It's very, very important that you organize these leads, because number one, sometimes some leads can be usable in a year or so. I've had clients where I reached out to them 2 years ago and it wasn't a good time, and they said no. They said flat out no. But then recently I sent them an email and they were interested, because either they were in a different company or their needs have changed. So if you have a platform that organizes your leads, it's very, very simple to, you know, go to your list and see what are the leads that have been stale for a while, and you might need to make a follow-up, or you might need a poke or a catch-up email to kind of reignite the conversation again. So make sure that you organize them in a way that would be very, very helpful to you. For those people who might not have a budget of using a CRM, then you can use Google Sheets, you can use Excel, you can put it in an Excel file. But a lot of companies have free trials, and like Tropa is free for one user. So if you're one person and you want to organize yourself, you can sign up, and then it's free, and then you can then organize your leads. If either you're a freelancer or you're a small company, you don't have to pay a thing. So find platforms that offer free memberships or free signups for maybe one user or two. So we're lucky enough that Tropa is free, so we didn't have to spend anything by using Tropa. So if you have a CRM, it's also very helpful, because you can look at your opportunities. You can look at the opportunities of people that you've emailed, and you can also look at your total number of leads. So then if you have a team, then you're able to look at how your team is doing, which salesperson is closing a lot of sales, or which salesperson or lead generation person generated a lot of leads for the week. And you can also see a pipeline of what stage has the most leads. Like, for example, you have a lot of leads in your voicemail stage, so it would tell you, oh, you left a lot of voicemails, so you might probably want to make a follow-up and check, and probably dial them again, and hopefully reach someone on the phone and not leave a voicemail. So if you have a platform that you can use to organize yourself, it's very, very helpful. And if you don't, you can you can use Excel. It's a little bit, or Google spreadsheets. It's a little bit hard to organize leads using a spreadsheet, because obviously if you create 1,000, 2,000 leads, you would have to scroll through a long list, or you would, sometimes it also becomes very, very slow if there's a lot of data on the sheet. So it's up to you. You look at what works best, but it's very, very helpful if you organize your leads and you know where to go, and you know who to contact, and you know how to when and who to make a follow-up on. So most of the time for outbound lead generation, open rate and click rate, these numbers are very, very important. Open rate is the number of emails divided by the emails delivered. So if you send out 1,000 emails, if 500 of those bounce, that's not going to be included in your open rate. You will only count the emails that were actually successfully sent. And then the open emails. If you have, if you're using a platform like MailChimp or Mailshake, those platforms normally have analytics to show you how many of your emails were opened by your prospects. And click rate is also important. If you have links in your emails, for example, if you send out an email with a link to your website, your platforms such as MailChimp or Mailshake or other platforms can measure the click rate, or how many times your prospect has clicked the link, or how many links they've clicked in your email. So on average for all industries, the open rate is about 21.33%, and the average click rate for all industries is about 2.62. How you can improve your open rate would matter with your subject line. Actually, if you have a subject line and your subject line is very, very obvious, like special offer, and that's very spammy, so most of the time people won't open that email because it really sounds like you're selling something, and if they're not interested, they normally would just delete your email. So you want to make sure that your subject line is catchy enough but not spammy. One subject line that normally gets higher open rate would be quick question, or you can say congratulations. If it's something that you can, if there's something that you can refer to in your email to congratulate them, your subject line could be congratulations. It could also be quick question, or opportunity to work together. Those are subject lines that normally lead to a higher open rate. And for click rates, you can also just add more links to your email, a link to your website maybe, or a link to an offer that you want them to review. So you can do that to improve your rates. Things to remember, very, very important, you do your research. Again, you can't just target blindly. You need to know who you're targeting and where you're going to target them. Know your keywords as well. Know the keywords that work in your industry and in your type of business. Use accurate information. So if you're doing outbound lead generation, you want to make sure that your emails are correct. You're actually targeting or contacting the right person, the decision maker. You also need to create valuable content when you're doing inbound lead generation. Again, people might go to your site if you have a clickbaity title, but if your content is not worth it, then they will only visit you once and will not come back again. And then also you focus on quality versus quantity. Like in my example, you can create several templates and then send them out to 1,000, 2,000 people, but then no one would respond to your email because you did not take the time to personalize your email and really read up on the person. So sometimes quality is better than quantity. If you spend the time to personalize your email and make it, add a human touch to it, you're more likely to have people responding to you. And using multiple tools is very helpful. If you have the resources to spend or invest in a tool, that would be really helpful for your organization. But if you're an individual or if your company has no budget for these tools, then there are a lot of free tools online that you can use so that you're better off when you're starting your lead generation campaign. And the next is really consistency. You stick with it. If you want to start with your campaign and then later on after a few months you stop doing it, like you stop creating content, then you're not going to be able to see your results. Sometimes it takes a long time before you can see results. So if you just started your blog, don't expect to get leads and prospects with just writing 2 articles. Sometimes it takes about 1,000 articles for you to attract people to your blog. So you stick with it. There's patience and consistency. They pay off. And lastly, you wouldn't know if you're doing well if you don't track it. The good thing about using tools is that they help you track your progress and you can see analytics and results of your efforts. So for example, if you have a Facebook campaign, and the Facebook analytics is free. If you have a Facebook campaign, a social media campaign, you can check in your dashboard and see how many people engaged with that content, how many people liked it. It's very important to be able to track your progress so that you can repeat the things that work and you can also change the things that don't really work so that you won't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. So that's very helpful. And that's it. I hope people learn a thing or two, and I think we're open for questions now.
Yes, thanks, Chloe. Thanks so much for that. We're actually a bit over time, so I think we'll have time for just one question, but it's good. So for everybody that's stuck with us to the end, thank you so much, guys. And thank you again, Chloe, for sharing all with us. Perhaps we can have a spin-off series. There's a lot of content to digest in here. For those who stuck with us till the end, just, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's two main things that we need to understand, everybody. We do this at Payoneer as well. First and foremost is empathize. Be sure the shoe fits. Figure out who you're trying to target to market to. And when you know the shoe fits, make sure you're giving them with content with substance. I've experienced with the SEO way back as well, and I agree with Chloe. If you don't have substance today, Google and Facebook will kill your links and your content. So make sure you're giving them what they want. So there's a bunch more of questions. We'll pick out a couple. Be sure to give us your feedback, guys. We've had such a great talk with Chloe today. A lot of information. So let us know if you want to see her again. Maybe we can do a couple of more deep dives into some of the subjects that she's talked about. But for now, let's answer maybe one question that we have. So let's see here. Oh, but guys, be sure to join our Facebook group. We'll send Chloe all the questions later on, and then we'll post the answers later.
Yeah. I just saw the message.
There's a lot. There's a lot of questions. Let's try and. Oh, here's an interesting one. How do you usually handle leads who, for example, gave their details and schedule a call with you, but when you call, they will say that they didn't intend to register or can't remember that they registered or provided their details? I'm sure this has happened to you. It's happened to me. It's happened to a lot of people.
Well, personally, for Sophie, most of the time when we have inbound leads, the inbound leads really are what you consider warm leads. So if we get their lead through our content, they're normally very interested. So if in the event that I'll get a lead and I hop on a phone call and they're not really interested, I think the best way to do it is just to apologize. Sometimes people put so much stress into what they're supposed to say or whatnot, but then make that opportunity to say, if they didn't mean to sign up for the email or whatever, then you can always say that you can reach out anytime if your needs change. I've had, actually for outbound lead generation, I've had people where I asked them to connect with me. And there was one person that I've asked to connect with me, and I thought he was still in that company. And he said, sorry, I'm no longer there and I'm actually unemployed. So what I just did was I said, oh, sorry, but thank you for connecting with me and I hope you're staying safe and healthy. So, sometimes sincerity and just being human is okay to apologize and just say that if your mind changes in another time, then you can always reach out to me. You already have my email.
I agree. That's very true. Actually, I got some referrals, turning a faux pas into a referral like that, right? Sometimes people are so afraid of just being honest, but when you're doing a cold call, honesty really comes through.
Yeah, agree.
All right, guys. Thank you for sitting through with us. It's been so informative. Thanks, Chloe, for telling us about. I think a lot of people actually here were asking about the first question was asking about your journey with Sophie. Maybe we can have
Yeah.
uh, more posts. We have enough content here. Actually, this one is perfect for repurposing. Um, so thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Chloe. Thanks, everyone. Be sure to answer the survey. Let us know what you think about this webinar of ours. Join our Facebook group. We'll be answering the questions there, and feel free to reach out to us in case you want more things like this. What do you like? What don't you want? And maybe we have time to do more content, maybe smaller bites or full-sized ones in the future. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, and for all the questions, I'll answer them on Facebook. So just send me the link and I'll answer them. I'm sorry we ran out of time.
No worries, no worries. Thank you again. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Stay safe.